Hello there. Today we are going to learn how to create a database, what we like specifically call a geodatabase, a geographic database. It is used to store geographic information. In this case, we are referring to both cultural and natural features. So I'm going to do that in ArcMap. So this will be our first lesson in ArcMap. So first thing you want to do is open ArcMap. As usual, you'll be doing that from the start menu. You go to start menu and then all programs. You find a folder called ArcGIS, and inside ArcGIS you're going to click on ArcMap to add the ArcMap software. It will take some time to launch depending on the speed of your computer, so you just have to be patient. So after ArcMap launches, it will bring you to a window looking like this. There is a small dialog box here called Getting Started. If you previously worked with ArcMap, you'll see a list of your previously created document listed here. If you've never done anything on ArcMap, then none of this will be here. You just see an option for creating a new document. That is the only thing you'll see. So since I want to start afresh, I don't want to work with any of these previous created projects, I'll just cancel here. Cancel here, and then you like always, before you do anything else, first of all, I'm going to save this project, and I'm going to save it in my TopoMap folder. So I'll click here on save, and then I find where my folder is located. It's supposed to be on desktop, so I'll click on desktop and then find where this TopoMapping folder is. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to change the file name here to also Topo. I'm going to call it TopoMap, just like that, and then I click on save. So after saving it, you'll see this. The name of the document here on the title bar here is no longer entitled, but it has been assigned a name of topomap.mxt. mxt is the file extension for all ArcMap documents. So this is how the interface looks like, the ArcMap interface. I'm going to introduce a couple of things here. On your left here, this entire portion here is called the table of contents. Underneath the table of contents, you'll have layers. Whatever data you add in this software, it will appear here below layers. And these layers, there are various ways of listing them or viewing them. As you can see here at the top, list by visibility, list by source, and list by draw in order. So the default, the one I like to work with and the one I recommend you work with is list by draw in order. And then on your right there is also another pane. So we have normally we have a left pane for table of contents, and then on your right the rest of the other panes. There is an Arc toolbox here. If I close it, you see there is also another pane you can move here called create features and so on. How do you access all of these panes or these small windows you see, like search? You come here to window and then you activate whichever window you want. If I want one called catalog, I go to Windows menu here and then I click on catalog. If I want search, I go to Windows menu here and then I click on search. It will appear here. It can appear anywhere, it doesn't necessarily have to be here on this right side, but I prefer if you place it on the right side so that it leaves you room to work with here at the center. So I'm going to pin it on my right. I can pin it at the top there, on the left to go to the table of contents, at the bottom here, but I prefer to do it from this right hand side. So I'm just going to drag and drop this small window to the right there, and then I'm going to resize it a bit. I'm going to drag it a bit like that. So I'm going to drag it so it is leaves enough space for me to work with. Any data I load, any map work I'll be doing will be appearing in this space. This space here is called the data frame. And apart from that, there is also the bottom part here where you can see my pointer here. This one is what we call the status bar. You can see it is showing a pair of coordinates, but the units seem to be unknown. Why are they unknown? Because we have not yet defined a coordinate system. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a geodatabase. How do I create a geodatabase? Usually from the catalog window. If the catalog window is not visible, like I've said, you can activate it from the Windows menu. You click on that and then the catalog window will appear. So before I do that, before I create my database, I have to make sure that my folder is appearing somewhere here inside the catalog. If it is not, and this is what I advise you to do, is first thing you do before you start any project is to connect to all folders that you'll be working with. For us, our default folder is the topo mapping folder, which is stored inside our desktop. So I'm going to right click on folder connections and then you select connect to folder. You go where it is located. In this case it is the desktop, and then you select it. After selecting it, you just OK. And after doing that, you can see it appears here under the list of folders you've connected to. So the reason I'm doing that is once you have your folder under these connections, it makes it very easy for you to access your data and save your data. So once I've done that, once I've connected to a folder, I'm going to right click on our folder and then I'll select new and then click on file geodatabase. I'm going to call this geodatabase topo map db. So you right click on it. If you want to change the name, you right click on it, you right click on your database, and then you select your name. You can choose whichever name you want. The file extension for your database files is .gdb. And then after you've done that, you can also create something else we call a feature dataset. A dataset is a collection of related data. By related data, what do we mean? It could be a collection of points. Points is an example of a dataset. Example of points are church, schools, spot heights, and any other isolated points like hospitals and so on, trees. All of those isolated points, they can be categorized under point features. You can also have a data set for line features like rivers, roads, and so on, and also a data set for polygon features or area features. These are features that they have more than 3 or 4 points. A lake, a forest, a plantation, a field. Those are just some examples. So I'm going to create a data set here for points. So I'm going to right click on your database, and then you select new feature dataset. I'm going to call it points because it will be storing all our points, and then after renaming it, click on next. Here, also very important, we want to select our coordinate system. When mapping, it's usually advised to use projected coordinate system. They are most suitable for representing features on a flat surface. In this case, a flat surface is a screen because you're doing a mapping on a screen and not on a paper. So you select the coordinate system depending on where the mapping location is located geographically on the globe. So I'm mapping an area located in Nandi County. Nandi County falls under UTM zone 36 northern part of Kenya, but between 36 degrees east of the Greenwich meridian and 36 degrees and 42 degrees east of the Greenwich meridian. That is where zone 36 is located. So 36 is the grid zone, which is in this case between 36 degrees and 42 degrees east of the Greenwich meridian. It's just a portion of Kenya. And then north here denotes the hemisphere. You can see here we also have some coordinate systems for areas or locations falling below the equator. So I'm going to select 36N, and then next I'm going to ignore these, click on next, and then you finish. After you do that, your points appear just below your database. You click on plus, you can expand to see additional details, but in this case we don't have any other details. So now we are ready to import our points, but before you do that, maybe you can just create an extra feature dataset. I'm going to create a dataset for lines, so I'm just going to call it lines. And then next I'm going to select the coordinate system. In this case, like the previous one, is 36 north. That is the UTM zone. WS 1984 is what we call the ellipsoid. So you click on next, ignore this, next, and then you finish. Congratulations, you've just created your first database and your first datasets. You can save your work. Until next time, have a good day.